Hello! Mystic, I don't know if it's just me, but I cannot hear you.
How about now?
I can hear you now! Hooray!
What's up? I brought Adam on because I couldn't talk, but hello and welcome to this very special episode of Monthly Minutes. We have the whole cast here, at least part of the time, and
Yep.
we're going to be chatting about Season 1. Not in its entirety, but just the highlights, what we loved, what we didn't like, what we hope is more of, all the things. And we have the whole cast. So let's bring them on. We got Mr. Edward.
Okay, so the spoiler of ending. Sorry. Yeah, the ending was.
Spoilers. We also have Liz, aka Scylla.
Hey, how's it going?
So sultry. All right. Next up, we have Daniel, aka Morgus.
As I was saying, the big oh, sorry. Hello, guys.
And
Thank
finally,
God.
we have Avis, aka Ziba, and their amazing kitty cat Tevia.
Hi.
Kit Kat Furball. Hello.
Look at us all.
Hello.
Yeah.
It's
We're all here.
we haven't all been together in like a month.
I know.
And never
That's
like
crazy.
this.
Avis
I
is
don't
a
know
little
if-
frozen, but I think they'll come back.
Have
gotta
we
be
ever
true to
had a full cast monthly minutes before? Ever?
No.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Never.
And I mean, this is why Avis dies every time. We've attempted it before. We have to sacrifice someone.
Well, let's just dive in. We're going to be talking about season 1. If you're watching, feel free to put questions in the chat. We'll answer them as they pop up. This is a very loose structure, so I'm just going to dive right in. And we've already discussed this on our own in our like session 0.2 for season 2. But what would you say all of y'all's favorite moments from season 1 were? And we'll just popcorn it around with whomever wants to go first.
Yeah, sure. Avis
Yeah.
and Ziba jumping on her own sword. Highlight. What a moment. Had every way of getting down safely onto the own sword. Classic D&D moment.
This is bullying.
I wish.
You're doing this when she's like, I can't respond.
Oh, they'll be
Yeah,
here.
they're
They'll be here.
they're a little incapacitated at the moment. But yeah, that's a great one. The chaos.
You're the bard. Use counter charm.
What do you think it's doing?
Do we have them? You're here.
Yes, they're back.
Hello.
I've heard every word you've been saying, and I've just been vibing.
Nice.
That one's good.
All right. Who wants to go next?
So I have two, I guess, brief. Like a shit your pants. Oh my god, what is happening? And like a, oh, okay, Shatter can unlock doors. So the first, I guess, is Shatter can unlock doors. Diva lockpick. Yeah, it's called Shatter. That was great. But also the absolute like devastation of the audio editing that you put in for what happened with Godfrey, and that whole situation with Nyx going down, and everything that we as the players, I think, went through, like pre-recording, individual having like muted bits, and then hearing it all to come together in the recorded version, absolutely blew my mind as both like cast and listener. Yeah, that was super exciting first season.
Yeah. Well, you lost Davis again.
I'm
Bradley
right
just listened.
here.
Oh, you're here. We can hear you. You're
Oh,
just
shit.
frozen.
That's good.
We should all just like be in solidarity.
Yeah, just like pick a
Not move.
pose.
You know, just same pose.
But how good is the rest of her ventriloquism?
I can't win, I guess, against my Wi-Fi.
Oh no.
That's okay. Cool. Who wants to go next? Favorite moment from season 1.
I'll do it just to disrupt the flow again. Of the cameras. The first one is going to be a selfish one, but one of my favorite humorous moments was finding out the potion made Livy incredibly buff. Buff Livy.
That's a really good one.
That was such a good moment. And the fact it ripped his shirt irrevocably, like it just damaged forever, so much so that he had to get a new shirt eventually. That was really good. And I think my second was going back and watching the entire like the village just in flames. That was a very sombering moment. And I like it a lot.
Yeah. Winston's the winner.
Winston was fun.
Just a minor booby trap.
Daniel or Avis, your favorite season 1 moments?
The first I've got two. One is actually a favorite. The other is just more of a highlight because it stands out for me. The first one, I think this is what I said before. But it has to go back to that scene on the beach with Livy and Morgus. You know, we're a pretty queer cast. And so for a moment like that to happen in the campaign, especially so relatively early on, I think really portrayed where some of our values are at. You know, for us as a cast, for, you know, anyone who might be listening. And so that it was a really great role play moment to share with Ed. But to portray that, I think, in the way that we did, sort of honored the allegory that was happening there.
Yeah.
You know? And the other was, I think this is in season 1, when we were recording and then Adam spoke up and went, yeah, the red dot hasn't been on Daniel's screen for the last I don't know how long. And so then I had to go back and I don't know, improv what I had said before at the timestamps and like do the little drop-ins, and then you edited that. I was on vacation at that time too, so I was hardcore procrastinating on deadlines. But we got it in.
Oh, you mean the fact that I'm a professional producer comes in handy. Who wants that?
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, I was like, oh God. Oh, well, no, I can do that. I can do a little bit of VO stuff. That's fine. This is easy.
Yeah. You did a great job. Avis, favorite moments.
I still think that my favorite all-time moment so far in the campaign is crying on the bar floor. You can't. Those are always highlights of your life. It might be a low light of your life, but actually, it's regardless. It is a high or low peak of your life. But if we're talking like the moments where I was like, "Oh, that felt pretty badass," I would say it's either one with the Knowles or throwing that annoying child into the creek. Those are up there. Those are up there.
Yeah, for sure. Love it. I love all those moments too.
What are your
That
favorite
scene
moments?
with Ziba crying on the floor was upsetting. Sorry.
Good.
Well, it just like punched me in the face. Like even me as the GM, knowing all these story elements and knowing everything about all the characters, like I did not put 2 and 2 together that the people in Winston are missing and Ziba is missing and that might pull on that string. Like It wasn't until you started role playing it, Avis, that I was like, "Oh, fuck!"
It was so good. It was so good.
I
Yeah.
still have the image in my head of the tears falling onto the letter, like as it was being written and smearing the ink. I think that's what happened. But I've still got that in my head. The gold ink, I think it was.
It was specifically golden because I borrowed your pen. I don't know if I ever gave that back.
You
I think I
didn't?
did.
Doesn't matter. Morgus is not
Oh,
going to ask
well,
for it back. I can get
Send
more.
me this in the backpack.
Ed, you asked what my favorite moments are. That's really hard.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yes,
It's
please
really
highlight
hard.
your favorite cast members.
Which one of us is your favorite?
DM.
Well, I really like if we're talking about all of season 1, they're not here to like reap the kudos, but in like the second episode, there's a conversation between Keg and Miff at the Drunken Stump about souls. And like it was just such a kind-hearted interaction. Like that's one of the early ones. I really, really, really loved the scene after Livy and Ziba investigated K-Paw's mom's house and like ran to the pier. It was like the first serious moment we got from the campaign as a whole. Audio editing, Godfrey dying was fun. And honestly, there's just so many. Like y'all, I can't pick just one. I could keep going, and we don't have time for that. So, my next question, unless y'all watching would like to pose a question, we can get to that one next, would be, tell me about y'all's favorite NPCs from the world.
I don't know. We've talked before about how this is not necessarily the first story in this world that I've played with you. And consistently, I think my favorite NPCs are, and not necessarily in this order, Miff, Weaver, and Ulu. Also George in there too. I like George. I think they are really rich characters that also kind of represent, and correct me if I'm wrong, like values that you have in the real world that are really cool to see reflected in you as a friend. And I think that's why I keep going back to these NPCs. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I'd be remiss if we didn't throw out Kevin. Like Kevin's gotta be up there. As,
I was gonna say mine's Kevin.
Hey, Kevin, head empty.
For those looking forward to the collection of short stories, Kevin is absolutely one of those. And Ed and I actually had a really cool conversation about that story because beta reading is happening. Which is really fun. Yeah.
Kevin's autistic. I'm also autistic. So that might also the short story might also have like pushed Kevin over the edge of one of my favorite characters. I love my giant himbo in the game. But until I read the short story, it would have been the goddess of like love, Maya. She probably would have been mine. I don't know. I just really like her. But I think Kevin's kind of inched ahead just a little bit.
For sure. Daniel Avis?
The food stall guy. I don't know if I've ever actually learned his name. But
The goblin,
As
yeah.
I love his commitment to, knowing his business. You gotta be one of the regulars and be in the know, and he commits to it like none other. There's gotta be more there, and I want to know.
Gotta commit to that.
I had him on my list, and I didn't end up writing a story for him. So next time.
I am
His
fascinated with
commitment
that
to the
story.
bit,
Ben.
unparalleled.
Yeah. Biscuits, wink.
Have I ever done that successfully?
No.
No.
And of course, this is directly pulled from a Seinfeld episode. For anyone who doesn't know.
I didn't. That was the most random thing
Um,
you've ever said in my...
The soup guy. Yeah. Yeah. Daniel, favorite NPC.
Oh gosh. In ascending order, I think. As a person, I relate to Linus very much.
Hmm.
You know, not necessarily because of the book thing. I'm not that much of a book fiend. Audiobooks maybe, but he's just kind of around and watching, and he doesn't like to go out very much, but he seems to really care about the people that are around the court. So I relate to that. Number 2, which may or may not be a teaser, I have a particular fondness for the woman that we saw on the road with the flute, who calmed down the pseudo dragons. And my number 1, I think, will always be, again, building off of what Liz said, you know, having played in this setting and story twice, playing in, I have a big soft spot for Maya as a player, you know, and if it were ever to come around to a point, Kitty, where there would be a third time or a third character in this world for me, I would probably just dive in and make either a cleric, paladin, or warlock who might or might not make their entire personality Maya. You know,
She's really
So-
fun to play.
I mean, with my other character, the amount that I've gotten to explore about Maya's personality and Maya's background, and I look forward to every interaction with Maya, with that character in particular. You know, so it's fun to explore other things with Morgus, but I have such a soft spot for her.
Yeah. Nice.
Real quick, I just had to jump off to retrieve a miniature D20 that my cat had on the bed. That's what she was fucking around with behind me. Like,
Oh no!
you're not part of this.
My God.
Did she roll an at 20? I mean,
What the fuck she rolled? I
mean-
took it from her.
She
She
just
doesn't put the
wanted
time
us.
to-
My cat found my D6 and punted it right into my closet, and I can't find it. And it scared her.
Oh no!
yeah.
She's
With-
a dumbass. Sorry.
You can say what you wanted to say, Adam, if you'd like.
Oh.
Oh, it's a gentle reminder of the avocado.
I was actually thinking
Hit.
Hermes, which for
She-
Liz is pointed.
She heard we were
Yeah.
casting. That's exactly what it was. She heard favorite character you're not going to mention. And I'm like, no, we can't.
Spoilers.
Mhm.
Cool. Well, I know, Adam, you have to dip off a little bit early, so I wanted to make sure that this question round covers you as well. But I'm going to ask this of everyone in the cast. What questions do you have regarding season 1 for the rest of the group that's here? If any.
Yeah, actually, Avis, what made you decide to play such a young character? Because like Ziba has been fairly like solid since the like session 0 in that regard.
I guess I wanted something very different than my other regular campaign, which is the complete opposite vibe of this entire campaign. And my other character, is severely traumatized as they do be. And big macho, and I wanted something to kind of contrast that so I could explore, different facets, I guess, of personalities that I could relate to than just gloomy and traumatized all the time, and have a little bit of fun time with a character that's more childlike and has that innocence and can instead become traumatized.
It's a slow build.
Yeah.
It's like a cycle.
For a different experience, and I felt it was something I could still relate to and portray fairly accurately or consistently.
Nice.
Inputs.
Morgus, what is your plan with that Cyclops lens?
Inheritance.
Bold of you to assume I have a plan at all, really. I genuinely don't think Morgus has thought about it since we harvested the thing. So when it comes up again, I think he'll probably think about it then. Maybe this is just me as a player, but Morgus is very much one of my characters who object permanence is shaky sometimes.
I just imagine we're visualizing the party walking around. It's all of us, and then on the back of Morgus's pack is just this long, rolled up circular lens that is always in view, but that nobody ever comments on.
I'm
I don't know if
imagining
that
it more
image is
like
ever
a
gonna be-
contact. Yeah, if it's I'm thinking of it like a giant turtle shell, on your back, like this lens.
So it's not just my short legs. I really can't keep up with everybody else.
Amazing.
Oh yeah, but like a contact lens, eventually it's just gonna dry out like that.
Mhm.
I'll turn it into an umbrella or something.
The thing is it's been a running joke, I think, maybe between Adam and I specifically, that no one has done anything with this because Philip specifically told y'all that you can see magic essentially through the lens and how useful it is, and yeah, it's just funny. One of those things in parties that just happens. D&D
I like
is still
this.
a game.
I like this as a subtle nod to somewhere in season 2. I'll be like, so in my downtime, I'm going to go off to a magic shop and get some equipment to do something with this item.
Yeah.
I feel like by the time we do season 2, we'll have forgotten about it again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unless somebody writes it down.
I have sticky notes. I think I might do that right this very second.
My notebook is for important things, like how pretty the gold bands on Morgus's beard are. Very important stuff. None of your item or memory bullshit.
This is what Morgus is here for as a character. The important things. Not to contribute to the party as a magic user, but to take things, to wear pretty makeup, have painted nails, and just blue, white, and gold sparkles. Yay. I have a really cute little owl.
I feel like this is like an alternate universe. Sometimes I feel like Morgus and Livy should be a wizard and Morgus should be a bard. I feel like that's probably the right universe, but we're in this universe and it's much better.
Yeah, do we do a one shot where we reskin our characters as each other's classes?
Oh no!
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
There's not enough of you for an even split.
Let us know in the chat if that's what you want to see. That's what we'll figure it out. We'll have to get
Livy and I are doing
a
that.
Circle?
Yeah,
so we're
yeah,
not
yeah.
moving forward with my Tim Curry idea I threw out.
We can do both. But I really want to have Morgus
Do it
as a
all.
bard now, because
do it
what I'm realizing is that I waited so long to play a wizard, dice palette, all of that stuff. Morgus is just me as a wizard. It's a lot of glitz.
It's beautiful.
It's pretty great.
Does
but
anyone have any questions for Adam before he has to leave us?
yes, here's one. In your experience in season 1, with the story, with the table, where has your joy come from? Or
Oh,
have you found joy?
Absolutely. My joy comes in just every single character interaction that I get to experience, and in trying to go through the game in a way where I get to explore everyone else's stories and try to figure out what everyone else is doing and what their backstories are and what their secrets that they want their characters to tell are, but like trying to figure out the in-character way to like get them to reveal them or to like find character reveals. Yeah. And also in descriptive combat.
hmm.
You're very good at that.
Adam, I do. Yeah. Do you have kind of do you have a plan of where Godfrey's head is at, or are you going into this season a little bit more open and kind of building off of what will be happening kind of when we open, or where's Godfrey's head at going into it?
Yeah, Godfrey's head space is very much going to be dependent on the beginning of season 2. I think there's going to be an important scene that plays out that is going to kind of set the tone for where Godfrey's going to be going forward. I, as a player, have a lot of ideas for where Godfrey could go, and I'm going to be very flexible with where his story ends up going based on the events that play out in the game. But I always I conceptualize a good end, a bad end, and like an unfulfilling end and a fulfilling end that could all play out, but it all depends on how the dice roll and what everyone else does. And I try not to focus too much on one of them because I don't want to funnel and try to force one to happen if it doesn't make sense in the narrative.
Nice.
Sweet.
I actually, if you can stick around just a second longer, Adam.
Yeah.
You were how did it feel a little bit weird being like the first member of the new crew? Like how did you like what was your mind space jumping into that?
Yeah, that was a very interesting moment coming in, because not only was I coming into a show with pre-established characters, but I was also coming into a show that was just all people I have exclusively never played the game with. So there were a lot of considerations for me coming in, because I wanted to make a character that wouldn't be too hard for me to go into headspace wise, that wouldn't be too weird or out there. And at that point I'd been listening to season 1 up until then, and I saw all of the chaos that party had been, and I was like, okay, so I need to play a character that could be somewhat grounding as well, and somewhat hey everyone, let's work together and let's focus on goals. So yeah, there was a lot that came in, but I'm really glad that I came in with the character that I did, and I think it's clicked pretty well with the party that showed up. And also a consideration, when I came in, I thought there was going to be more of the old cast sticking around than did stick around. So
Yeah.
it was interesting. It was cool. I like where it built from, and I kind of like how it made the story go along. I should not have Discord opened on my second screen.
Oh no. What did you do?
Oh fuck.
Good reminder.
You're not in our Discord server. You can be.
That's in our secret channel. No,
Yeah, it
I
is.
know.
I can't
Bully
believe
us
you
enough and
cheated.
we'll make it public.
yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks so much, Adam, for joining, and have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Adam, you're
Enjoy
great.
the rest of the Q&A. Bye. Love you all.
Bye.
See you next
Bye.
time.
You. See you
Bye.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Had to get the last word in.
Finally.
Great. So we heard from Ed. We heard from Adam. But I would love to hear from Liz and Daniel and Avis on the same question of I forget how I phrased it before.
What questions do we have for other members of the
Yes.
cast?
Yes.
I was just gonna say I have questions for Adam, but I can't really ask them in front of other people. So I was like,
We could answer for him.
Yeah.
No.
Fun exercise.
yeah,
No. No. That is facetious.
No questions for each other.
Liz, are
feel like
you
I should have
ever
prepared.
gonna expand upon the weird little jewelry box thing?
Yeah, I think if asked at this point, like Scylla would probably talk about it. I don't know that it's that deep. I think it's one of those things
felt
that
deep.
like
Yeah,
It-
it did feel
it-
deep.
well, no, when I say it's not that deep, I mean I'm not necessarily concealing that much, I think is what I mean to say. Like I'm not intentionally being like withholding. There just necessarily haven't been times to kind of expand on these little things. And so the times that I've dropped them in have been moments that if you want to pull at them later, you were like super more than welcome to. But it hasn't necessarily it felt like the right time to introduce them, but it hasn't felt like the right time to expand on them. I don't know if that's frustrating for the people that I'm playing with. You're always welcome to
I feel
ask.
like I need the little thought bubble, and all of a sudden you see like what happened way the past. What's it called? You jump back.
Flashback.
Oh, like a full flashback.
I need a flashback. I need a full flashback episode, please.
I will say, in the interest of like behind the scenes transparency and just like something to encourage at all tables, I built this character with something that I intentionally, and like character bleed is a really real thing, and like understanding the difference between like the characters you're playing and the characters that you're bringing to a table. I intentionally made this character a little bit bland with the intention of bringing in something a little bit more personal from my life to work through later on when I knew that I was building up to that character. Like I had specifically designed this mechanic to kind of fuck around with once I knew who this character was a little bit. And something in my personal life happened that I not no longer, but can't really touch that right now. And so Sierra and I had a really candid conversation about like, well, what are other ways that we can kind of like still fuck around with your backstory and build on this without it going to that place with you as a player? And I respect the hell out of that. So if there have been times where I maybe have been a little bit withholding on some of the like parts of the backstory that I've intentionally designed, it's because I'm maybe working through it, but also like totally do that with your stories and characters. Yeah, that was probably a longer explanation.
That was great.
It's a good thing.
I've got a question. Not to make Liz talk more. I'm very curious about the same question that Ed asked of Adam. What was your experience as a new member of the cast coming in at the time you came in? I don't know if you and I maybe had a similar experience because of the time that we both came in and the fact that we do play in the other game, but that you also know Adam outside of this, and so there were other kind of connections. I similarly, like Adam, kind of came in wanting to play someone more supportive and less loud than I play in my other games, which I'm a tabaxi bard in my home game. Like I'm a human knight in this game. Like those are two very so, and it was also like, this was really my first time getting into any kind of like recording or actual play. And so I was nervous coming into it and not necessarily playing with people that I hadn't played with for a really long time and built on that. It ended up being one of the best things that I decided to do with my year.
But yeah, no, I think I don't know. Similarly, is that kind of how you felt coming into it?
Yeah, there's definitely some similarities there. I definitely have to note the what was probably I see as an advantage, maybe for you and I coming into this to this table, having played with Sierra before, having played with you before, knowing Adam. I mean, Adam's been my DM for I want to say almost 3.5 years now. IRL, and what stands out there is there's this abundance of trust at the table, that I got to walk up to the table with, having learned to trust Sierra as a storyteller, trust you as a player, implicitly trust Adam for years by that point, so that for me made the learning curve of the table, as a weird way to put that, a little bit shallower, probably. So that was definitely an advantage, for me. That I feel like another thing that kind of stands out is the character that I built. Morgus, Ironheart, and before him, Eshal. These are characters that I have made and committed to playing. Like these are fully realized characters that I have actually stepped into in the last couple of years. They are characters that the focus of playing them has been very different, which kind of signaled like a life shift for me over the last few years. But Ironheart is very much that supportive character that goes along with whatever the party is going to do, and is all about their friends in the party. Morgus is there's a little bit of that in Morgus, but I think these characters sort of center around joy and peace, and what as a focus in a story can bring that to me, so that I can attract that into my own life. Not to get philosophical here, but stepping into Morgus on top of the trust that I brought or that was at the table that I stepped into, I feel like I just kind of stepped into Morgus and he just came to life, which made that really easy, and then through that, getting to know Ed and Avis as players through Ziba and Livy, and learning to trust the two of you as implicitly as I trust anyone else at the table with this story that we're sharing and building. That joy has just shown through for me.
Which, if I can I jump in and ask a question there
Please.
for Ed and Avis? So knowing a few people really helped. I don't know that it would have been as easy to like get into it if Ed and Avis weren't the flexible and like great players that you are, and adapting to a new cast coming in. So like conversely, how was that for you, having been on an established cast and then having these three players come in and come into your story like that?
It definitely helped that there was a little bit of leaning into it, because I mean, we did that one shot together, and that definitely helped. But I personally, you guys were so awesome and so charismatic, and your characters were like instantly like with it. And I'm not sure if it was just because of you, or because you played in this world, or because you played with each other, but the flexibility and like the you had just not like introduce yourselves, but like also not take over things completely was perfect. It was so easy to play off of you all. I'm genuinely surprised, Liz. That was the first time you were recording. It was just, I had no idea.
I'll
Thanks.
second that.
Thanks.
I'll second that.
Avis, did you feel that way?
I actually found it really challenging to be honest.
Yeah.
It was kind of difficult to. We were following, one line thought, and I still feel like there are things from that transition that we have failed to ever address. And it was really hard to go from, okay, how do I not just completely drop a relationship with these characters or pretended like nothing happened to this point, but still continue to develop the storyline to a logical place where we can introduce new characters without it seeming unnatural, right? Because like in real life, like if your friends like died or disappeared, and all of a sudden this new people pop out of a sketchy church cellar, like you're not just gonna be like, oh, we're besties now, guys. Yeah. And like approaching how to deal with that transition, as well as continuing to play with the party members that left in other campaigns. It was a challenging time for a bit of how do I process all of Ziba's emotions, but not quick enough to introduce new people to the podcast, but not too quickly that it doesn't make sense for the character I have built and the morality I built into it.
I guess for me, Livy as a character didn't really like. There was so much friction and animosity with the other characters that I never really had to because they weren't friends, They like just gotten to know each other, and their interactions weren't exactly positive. And like our characters just like got on better. And there was like that mystery that is so central to Livy that I could just focus on.
Yeah,
and I also
IRL
help. Though. Yeah.
It definitely did help that both our characters started out kind of spending more time together in the, I don't know, you call it the prequel, but like the lead up periods of describing how we're all coming together. The fact that Livy and Ziba specifically spent the most time together before meeting up with the rest of the party definitely helped with the transition. But that's pure luck.
Yeah, that was pure luck. I did think the thing I had like the most trouble with was like detaching myself from Ziba, because for a while it was just Livy and Ziba. So I did like try to make purposeful moments where like our characters could like have moments together, and me and Ziba didn't have those because we already had so many of those moments, and we already had like a very, very like tight knit bond that I didn't just want it to be the Livy and Ziba show, although that would be an interesting show, a unique one.
Yeah.
That just like took me back to at one point, like we jokingly made a ship name, and then we're like, we can't do that. That is.
That would nope. I was very much like nope. Not on board with that.
This moment just flashed in my head very vividly for a second.
I was like, Livy, I don't know how old Ziba is. At that point, I didn't. But I'm like, Livy's like an adult-ass man. And Ziba just woke up with all of her siblings and her adult parents.
Yeah, but okay, so I maintain my favorite genre, stay with my favorite genre is like unwilling parent and like lost child. Like that is a great genre.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does it feel to be immersed in it?
There's a lot of that in pop culture right now, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now that I think about it,
Pedro Pascal's playing all of it.
I was gonna say you beat me to it. It's and like to rewind a little bit to some of the elements of that conversation. We should really pat ourselves on the back as a cast that that transition. I think a lot of casts could have done just as well as we did, but not every cast could have. Everything could have fallen apart in that transition, and with the allusion to the Livy and Ziba show, the bond that your characters built did shine through at that point, and that was okay for the story at that point to build on the realism that you were talking about, Avis. But it could have very easily become a situation where the three people, or the three people, including the DM, never mind, the two characters three characters. Adam, I can't do math. It's
Well,
Monday.
for a while, Adam wasn't there. For a while,
Oh.
it was just Livy and Ziba.
There's a few
Like, once
episodes, just Livy and Ziba.
Yeah, once the three of
Minor.
us were there, it could have, like, a line could have very easily been drawn in the party, and I think we got past that. So that's something for us to, like, give ourselves a little bit of kudos with as a cast.
Yeah. Pat yourselves on the
Okay.
back.
Here's the kudos. Take them.
We haven't addressed though.
Just
But
Are they delicious?
I think you cut out, Avis. Oh no, they're gone again.
Oh no.
they died. I think Livy.
I would say
Livy, I think she
Go
was
ahead.
saying that it was good that we addressed it. It was something that needed to be addressed. I think.
yeah.
I think they
Maybe.
were saying that there were some things that weren't addressed,
Oh.
if I heard correctly.
I know that I don't want to like take all the rest of our time to chat about this one specific thing, but I think it is important to
Yeah.
say like how we found ourselves in this place where we're making this thing together, right? So I had this idea of making the podcast. We had the established Wednesday group going, and I initially asked the Wednesday group, who are an amazing group of folks. A lot of them are business owners in the community. A lot of them are really ingrained in the community, including Daniel and Liz. And the resounding answer was no. I don't want to do that. So I thought about it. I left it. I kept it going. I'm like, well, I want this to be good. I want it to be with people I know. And Avis and I were playing together in a game with Anchor and Leah Fritsch and Cake. And they're fantastic players. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to start asking these folks. And we also put a application up on Reddit. And that's how we found Ed.
That's
we did-
me.
You found
Audition.
Ed on Reddit?
Yeah, baby.
Ed was on Reddit?
I found my partner on Reddit. I found my podcast on Reddit. Yeah,
I
this
didn't
is
know
one
you
big
didn't know
fun
that,
episode.
Liz.
No, and you've just broken like every conception I've ever had.
Where did you
It reminds me of the TikTok side. You see this? I found this on the street. Ed, you were the best Reddit find.
what I was
Yeah.
trying to say before I cut out was
Yeah.
just that I feel
Mhm.
like the thing we didn't address though is like the sketchy guard over Anchor's dismantled body. Never followed that up. Will forever haunt
Yep.
me.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll touch on that too. But yeah, so we found Ed on Reddit. Everyone did an application. We did like a one-shot play test, which we also did in the Wednesday group, which was the dream with the Medusa maze and that whole interaction. And then we actually lost a cast member from the play test. And then we came into the stream. And this is just a testament of like, if you ever are, for me at least, of following your gut, trusting your intuition. It was one of the first times that I didn't do that. And, you know, it ended up crumbling where we had to separate with a few folks, even though I kind of had that gut feeling to begin with. So trust your gut, folks. And yeah, to that point, Avis, what you're mentioning, I totally tried to set that up as like a new thing you all could do to try to figure out what happened. And I had made all these connectors back to the main storyline so that if you wanted to go investigate, you could. And then y'all were just like, nope, bye. Gonna just keep trudging along. Yeah.
I think we were very much like, we need to like develop this to a point where we can bring in other people, and
Yeah.
didn't want more episodes than necessary of us to just having a good time.
Yeah.
It won't
So-
surprise me if we find a piece of scrap metal on the road somewhere.
Maybe I'll come back and I'll finally get my
Yeah.
closure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that whole separation happened, and I had played with Adam a few times from having Daniel and Liz in the Wednesday game, whom I will also say I met and played D&D with and have never met in person through an Instagram message I sent to someone saying, "Hey, do you want to start a game together?"
Yep.
So, you know what? just don't be afraid to do things.
What? Oh
Yeah.
gosh. I just had
Yeah.
the best flashback to Liz and I geeking out over getting an invite to the game together. Anyway, that's not podcast related.
Wait, and now we're 2 years on, and I get notifications now, and I'm like, "Ma'am, okay, who?" I'm so kidding. I'm so kidding. Everything is still a big deal. Not hair in my mouth.
It is kind of strange that we're all friends now, though, right? Like it's the power of D&D.
It's the power of D&D. It's the power of the internet. It's so wild.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait for us to all meet in person someday.
I'm telling you, a cabin trip someday.
Gay Cabin Trip and Adam.
Should we talk about anything else from season 1? Should we talk about the scariest moments?
Null fight.
No fight.
That was
It was pretty bad.
It was fine.
we almost died.
We didn't though.
No one even went down.
No
Yeah.
one did down.
We had it covered.
The dice were on our side that day.
They were. I don't think I ever
woken up
talked
at 4
about
in the
this.
morning by a fire.
I also want to
so-
say just randomly, sorry, I'll let you go,
One-
Ed, but I just want to add in really quickly. The Null Fight episodes are randomly the, like, aside from where you can tell people like started listening and then tapered off, like the most listened to episodes, just like on their own in this random
Whoa.
anomaly of just like most listened
Huh.
to episodes. Anyway, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Ed.
Just need to get our
so
lives.
one of the reasons I took the potion and like went straight into it was I genuinely thought Zibba was going to die, and I'm like, well, Livy would sacrifice his life for Zibba.
Don't.
Because that's what Livy would do. I'm like, yeah, no, if need be, Livy will stand in front of a sword. That's just gonna happen. That's the scene.
I can say, like, having been in a one shot where like the chance of surviving run by Adam, where the chance of surviving was about 5%, and like having other players at the table sacrifice their characters so one of us can get away and then not getting away, it's a harrowing experience at the table. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
The Adam sacrificing himself so that like means like that was terrible.
Yeah,
That was so
awful.
scary.
it's very scary.
I wasn't there. You were there.
I think
You were.
their two scariest moments for me as a DM were rolling those dice for when Nyx hit Godfrey. I mean, full transparency, we nerfed that. Adam and I created a storytelling moment when their character should have been dead. Like just straight up dead. And also the what is it? The second fight down in the basement tunnel with the
Oh,
creature.
that.
One shot, Livy was on the ground, and I was like, "Oh,
Jesus.
no."
It's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, the spooky eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It was spoopy.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Scary, scary moments. There's some other for the sake of talking about like loose ends, what loose ends, random or major story plot or just whatever are you all looking forward to just exploring? Could be something as minor as someone who was upset you never called them at a brunch spot to you left a cyclops hidden behind a door trying to kill the king.
Who would just leave somebody at a brunch spot? That's so fucked up. I
Your
don't
tone
even-
sounds very
That's-
pointed.
What? No. Why? That's insane. What? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Scylla is interested in taking more bounties. I want to meet more NPCs. I want to meet more NPCs through bounties, I think is what I'm looking forward to.
Nice. Cool.
And that's it.
Whatever happened to that guard that Livy flirted with in like the first few episodes? Gary or whatever his name was.
Mm-hmm.
I wish he would have come. That would have been funny.
How
I think his name
without,
was Gareth.
Gareth.
without
That was
spoiling
listening to a lot
anything,
of the dollop. Anyways.
how is that flirtation with that guard impacting your recent foray into dating?
Spoiler.
I'm not spoiling anything. I'm just asking him to think about it. That could get really messy.
I'm thinking about a love triangle situation.
Okay. All right. Listen.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to a hellhound?
Livy, the almost like sexless character.
Mm. Yeah, whatever
Oh,
did happen to that hellhound?
Why did the what was
Oh,
what cult was the
right.
guard a part of? You know, like what happened to Anchor? What happened to the Hellhound? Okay, you know, like all those people fell asleep. I always wonder if anything else went wrong during that time period. All right, for everyone in the castle to be asleep, and like there's just, I feel like there's quite a few things that we just like.
I also don't talk about the spider I have on me a lot. I just picked up a spider. He's my spider. Livy has 2 pets.
Did you find him on Reddit?
No, I found him with the hellhound.
I don't know
Which
if
is-
we
which
ever
is
found
like
out
Reddit.
if.
On the web.
The hellhound,
Oh
yeah.
no. You know,
Oh, jeez.
Marcus has a couple new abilities. I'm gonna wait for an opportunity where I can use one and then just not use it on Scylla for that.
A menace.
Aw.
Anyway,
Loose ends. I assumed you made a couple good call outs there, Avis, but my assumption would be that Ziva cares the most about finding her friend.
Yeah, no. We're as a character, it was like that does not even matter.
Mm-hmm.
But like this person, I'm like always like, I don't think I'm ever gonna follow that up. All right.
Anchor just appears as a ghost in your dreams.
Anchor does have a soul.
There's the ghost of my dreams attacking my ankles thing, Cat.
Tevia! We have 0 minutes left, but are there any last questions, comments about season 1 before I go into our outro stuff?
Season 1 was a
Excited to get into
blast.
it.
Thank you so much for letting me be a player in this.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's all.
All right. Well, season 2 is right around the corner. And guess what? We're doing individual vignettes of characters that will be published. They're about 15, 20-ish minutes, maybe 30, depending on me editing them. And season 2 will also have a live stream video component, which we're really excited about. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And the first one.
Secret we'll never know.
Oh no! It's a true secret, not even we.
Cut out. We
Don't.
after
The first one!
Boom.
Is
Nothing.
available next Monday.
Next one.
Ah!
And it's Ziba's a little vignette of what Ziba has been doing on the 6-week time skip between the end of season 1 and the start of season 2. Which is super exciting.
I was wondering what
If you-
order you're gonna do that in. If you're gonna stick with the order we rolled. Because they
Doing
get
it
a little bit
chronological,
interesting.
baby.
Heck yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have enjoyed Utopia so far, and we'll have more monthly minutes in the future as we get into season 2. You know where to
everyone.
find us. We'll see you around.
Be safe.
Bye.
Be well.
Bye.
Don't show up at my house.
Bye.